Okay, I'm ready to start now. Today, gonna be pretty interesting stuff happening on the stream. Let's see. I'll just pull it up right now. Okay, so first off, actually I'll show it off bigger. No, no. uh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I've got PNG tuber now. Well, like actual movement PNG tuber. It's just the same little PNG that I've been using, but I edited it slightly. I did an eyes closed one, mouth open, eyes closed, mouth open, and then just a regular one, and just pop it into the software, and it works. It's good. So yeah, it's pretty cool that I have this now. I mean, I think my 3D model is still a bit better, but my webcam is not working. I probably could have used my phone, because I think I'll be able to read my chat off my computer for this stream. But not a big deal. I wanted to just use this for now. Okay. So today, as it says in the title, today I'm playing a game, well, a visual novel called The Song of Saya, or Saya no Uta in Japanese. And I don't really know much about it, other than it's a little bit creepy. It's horror. I think there's some how do I say it? There is some inappropriate stuff, but I think on Steam it's mostly censored. So we'll see how it goes. There is censorship options, so I'll take a look at that right now. I was looking at it a little bit before as well. Okay. Config. Let me configure all this stuff. Yeah, I was looking at this. I know there's gonna be like gore. I'm going to have to blur it. I think I should have looked at playthroughs before on YouTube and see what they actually put on here. I don't know if I do both, or I think probably like this is good. And let me see. I just gotta make sure. Okay, I have my toggle. If anything really bad shows up, I'll just try my best to switch quickly, and then I'll have to edit it after. Oops. There we go. Okay. I was also looking, I think it's all voiced. I think it's all in Japanese. I don't see any options, so it is probably very likely. I think this is the main character. If it's fully voiced, I might turn it off just so that I actually read what the character says. So it's a bit more interesting rather than just me sitting and, you know, just watching this. I mean, I think it's probably gonna be a pretty interesting one, so I can have some commentary and stuff. So I'll leave it on for now. I should be able to edit it inside of the game. Okay. I know there is multiple endings. I think I read 3 maybe. So I'll go through all of them. Yeah, I'll go through all of them. I'm hoping maybe this will take 2 or 3 streams. So today, probably tomorrow I'll continue this if I don't finish today, which I don't think I will, depending on how this goes today. So I'm gonna start. The story is a work of fiction. The procedures and conditions described here, I didn't have enough time to read that. Work of fiction, grotesque. I thought I already changed that in the setting. I don't know what to do here. I don't want to completely ruin stuff. I just don't want to get banned. I don't want to get banned. You know what? I'm going to do it really quickly. I'm going to take a look at a gameplay or something. But I don't want to get spoiled either. I'll look at this thing just to begin. You can probably hear the sounds. Try not to read anything. I don't know. You know what? I will just try this. I'll try my best to make sure I don't get banned, but I think maybe the lowered brightness is probably good. Yeah, that's probably good like that. Oh jeez. This is kind of loud in my ears. Oh. Oh. My ears. Oh, I should make sure it's good volume on the flame booth. Okay, one second. 1. Okay, I'm just gonna shout test a few times and see if I'm actually good volume levels. Test. Okay, I think I'm good. I'll just lower it just slightly. Just slightly. I don't want it to be covering my voice switch. Okay, now, for real this time, I'm ready to start. Hey! The wriggling mass of flesh burbles. 3 such creatures sit around the table in front of me, slurping filthy sludge from their cups as they trade whines, growls, and sounds that I cannot describe. What is all of this stuff? Everything is like meat. Meat. By listening carefully, I'm able to grasp the gist of their conversation and respond when it is required of me. This is necessary to avoid arousing their suspicion. I don't know about you, but I did not grasp any gist of the conversation. It was pretty fun though, to talk like that. However these creatures look, they are my friends apparently. I wish that I could still deny it, but I gave up on that a long time ago. Night after night, I went to sleep praying for an end to this nightmare, only to wake up each morning to the same twisted hellscape as the day before. Jeez. I know now that I have to blend in, that I have to act like one of them. Such has been my life these past 3 months, and so it will remain until the day I die. So he just woke up one day and he started seeing meat everything. Is he like vegan and he's just really craving meat? Judging by its tone, this one must be Koji, and the one next to him, squealing more than the others, is probably Omi. Which means that the one next to me is Yo. Though I can no longer see any trace of her once attractive features, I try my best to ignore the rotten stench of excrement that issues from her quivering flesh. I see. Yeah. Okay. Everything has changed. Or almost everything. By some cruel trick of fate, my relationship to the world alone remains the same, as if an insane architect took the blueprints of my life and rebuilt it out of blood and gore. These are monsters, and I were part of the same college club. We studied together, ate together, we even went skiing together every winter break. Now these are but painful memories of my days that will never return. If only no one recognized me, I might have been able to disconnect myself from the world. It would have been comforting, in comparison, to believe that I had been abducted by aliens or that I had stumbled through a gateway to hell. But no. This is beyond a doubt the city where I was born and raised. The society that I was a part of for 20 years. Save that I, and I alone, can no longer see it that way. The world as I knew it is gone. I have no place to call home. Yes. I totally understand. Anyway, I can tell that whatever they're discussing is of no importance to me. I decide to keep quiet while pretending to listen. But just then... Hey, Fuminori, one of the flesh beasts says as it swivels its bloodshot eyes towards me. What do you think? About what? I try to desperately suppress my loathing and behave normally, but my hoarse voice ruins the attempt. We're talking about this year's ski trip. You're coming too, right? A slimy hole near the top of the creature writhes nauseatingly as it vomits some semblance of words. That must be Koji's face, or what I would have seen as such 3 months ago. Unable to stomach the sight of it, I avert my eyes and give a neutral answer. I don't know. Do you have other plans? Not really. These were my closest companions. One of them had even wished to be more. What? Oh, by the way, I don't know if I should read everything. I don't know. I've never done one of these kind of playthroughs before. I have played a few visual novels on my own time, obviously, but yeah, I'll keep reading everything. I just know from like Fuamoko, they play visual novels all the time, and I think they read everything. So I'll be like a narrator. Makes it a bit more enjoyable. Rather than I'm just going. In 3 months, my tears ran dry. Now there's only loathing left in me. Surrounded by hideous creatures that I can only assume are Koji, Omi, and Yo. I spend each day trying to act as I always have. If I fail at this, I'll surely be sent back to the hospital. Only this time, I'll be locked away forever. No matter what, I won't let that happen. I mean, it's not like physical activity could affect your injuries, right? I'm not sure. I'll ask the doctor during my checkup. That's it. I can't look at them or bear their screeching any longer. I jump to my feet, desperate to escape. Hey, Fuminori! A spray of stringy slime from the cilia around its voice box flies at me. I try to cover myself, but too late to keep the slime from spattering across my face like the yolk of a rotten egg. I'm about to lose it. I want to grab a chair, a desk, anything within reach, and use it to smash the life out of this creature, ending it all. Oh my god. I barely suppress the impulse. I mustn't let on that something is wrong. However, they look to me. This is their world. I'm the outsider here. Like I said, today's my checkup. I've gotta go. Struggling to put on a smile, I reach into my wallet, pull out the first bill I find, and put it on the table without even looking at it. I don't care about the change. I just need to get out of here, now. Later! Yeah, that's about it. Oh, wait, that's not what Moist Critical says. He says see ya. I thought I'd do a Moist Critical impression. I thought he said later. Yeah, later. I don't know. Seems like something you would say at the end of this video. Anyways. I mutter hastily and flee the cafeteria. I'm not crazy.
ねえねえ、今度のスキーだけどさ、今年はどっかスケートも遊べるところにしない？
Sukuba-yo frowns at the suggestion.
スケート？
But why go to a ski resort to skate?
スケート？
Skate?
勘弁してやってくれよ、つくば。こいつ今そっちにハマってんだ。
These people do talk about skiing a lot. Tono Koji supports Omi with a laugh. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new. And it's Koji's... What? There we go. I accidentally tapped out. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new. And it's Koji's role as her boyfriend to provide backup. So Koji is Omi's boyfriend. Okay. They're a good match for each other, Yo thinks. Sometimes it makes her jealous.
なんせオウミってさ、この前この年になって初めてスケートやったんだ。
何よ。
20歳になって初体験ってのは興味そうそういないんじゃないかな。
I used to do skating lessons when I was like 5 or something.
子供の頃はなんとなく怖かった
I
の
never
よ。
really did it much, and I forgot all of
なんだ
it.
か刃物みたいでさ。
I tried going skating like 2 years ago with my school, and I was in pain because I didn't know how to skate anymore.
でもいきなりやって滑れたの？オウミちゃんすごくない？
すごい。
容量はスキーとそう変わるもんじゃないからな。重心を前に出して靴の前のヘリでコントロールする感覚とか。
コウジにそう言われたもんだからさ、騙されたと思ってやってみたわけよ。そうしたらもう楽しくって。
So it was a day. Yo feels a stab of envy. Koji and Omi are enjoying their time together, as normal lovers do. That's certainly not something that should make her jealous. It's just that her luck in love has been bad. Does she have a crush on the other guy?
私も見てみたいな。オウミちゃんがスケートやるところ。
She knows that it's wrong to envy her friends. She too would be spending time with the man she admires, if not for the terrible tragedy that befell him. His true misfortune. Her bad luck doesn't begin to compare.
だからさ、ね、今度のスキー旅行、ついでにスケート旅行にしちゃえば2倍美味しく楽しいってわけよ。でもさ、スケートはスケートリンクに行けばできるじゃない。わざわざスキー場に行ってまでやる？だから屋内じゃなくてさ、屋外スケート。そんな都合のいいとこあるかな？なんだかすごく混んでそう。
While speaking, Yo sneaks a sideways glance at the young man sitting next to her. Although the conversation has involved only 3 people so far, there are in fact 2 couples at the cafeteria table. Yo's boyfriend, though there's still some doubt over whether he could be called that, is beside her, as silent and expressionless as a statue.
なあ、フミノリ。お前はどう思う？
Fuminori, what do you think? Oh, that's Koji. I think I was doing his voice like, "Hey, Fuminori, what do you think?" Perhaps Koji sensed Yo's pain in his usual quiet and considerate way. About what? The cause of Yo's distress. Sakisaka Fuminori responds to Koji's sudden query with a vague, mumbled question of his own.
いや、だからさ。
We're talking about this winter ski trip. You're coming too, right?
行くよな。
Koji speaks gingerly as though he's probing a tumor. A few months ago, he would not have hesitated to rebuke Fuminori for his attitude. Their long acquaintance has forged a strong and honest friendship, but now... I don't know. Fuminori responds bluntly, his downcast eyes and sullen demeanor making it clear that he has no desire to break his silence.
何か他の予定でもあるのか?
You have plans? Oh wait, is this what was just happening but not meet everything? That makes sense. I get it. I get what's going on.
Yeah, 別に.
Not really. Even Koji, Fuminori's best friend, cannot communicate with him as well as before. What hope does Yo have of breaking through his shell? The scars left by the events of that late summer day are still deep, all these months later. Each one of the 4 bears them, not only Fuminori.
なあ、別に運動するのが傷に触るとか、そういうわけでもないんだろ?
Yeah, it definitely is what was happening before, but not meet chairs and meet people.
どうだろうな。今日の診療で先生に聞いてみる。
As though that answer drained the last of his patience, Fuminori bolts out of his chair.
Oi, Fuminori!
Hey, Fuminori! Even Koji can't keep his voice from rising as he tries to stop Fuminori from leaving. Fuminori reacts swiftly, throwing his hand over his face as though to shield himself from something terrifying. Maybe some spit flew inadvertently from Koji's mouth, but that happens sometimes. Reaction is beyond the pale.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Like I said, Fuminori snaps, making no attempt to relieve the discomfort of his friends. Today's my checkup. I have to go. Even as he tosses money on the table to pay for his coffee, he acts like he's touching something filthy.
それじゃ。
Later, Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Fuminori stalks out of the cafeteria, almost as if he's running away. Cloaked in heavy silence, the remaining three lower their gaze to the table, where the abandoned 10,000 yen bill sways forlornly. Fuminori's coffee is untouched. Maybe because it was a meat juice. It looked like a meat juice to him.
やってられないわね。
I can't take this anymore. I'm not gonna do a voice like that for her. No. I can't take this anymore, Omi says with a sigh. But Koji shakes his hand reproachfully. You know, this language is... this language is kind of hard for me. I'm not like that good at reading. I haven't read a proper book since like... I don't know. The 7th grade? 6th grade? Fuminori just needs a little more time.
だってもう3ヶ
But
月
it's
よ。
been 3 months.
なんなのよあれ。
What's with his attitude?
付き合ってる
I
こ
feel
っ
like
ちが
I'm
変
going
になり
crazy
そうよ。
hanging around him.
俺だってわからない。
Hey, I don't understand what he's going through either. I don't think any of us
お
can.
前だって想像つくか。
Can you imagine
あん
losing
な
your
ひど
whole
い形
family
で
like
家
that?
族全員を奪
That'd
われ
screw
て
anyone up.
平気でいられるわけない
Could
よ
have happened to anyone. Tractor rail flipped over on the highway, crushing the Sakisaka family car into twisted scrap. They said it had been difficult to tell the bodies of Fuminori's parents apart. For a while, it looked as if there was no hope for Fuminori either. It was nothing short of a miracle that he was able to leave the hospital and return to a normal life. Not a normal life.
見舞いに行った時なんてもっとひどかったじゃないか。
It was worse when he went to see him in the hospital, remember? He was terrified of us. Like he didn't know who we were. He even had to be tied to the bed. He freaked out so bad.
今は
I'm
よ
just
くあ
glad
そ
he's
こま
made
で
it
立
this
ち直って
far.
くれたと思う。
それにしたって変よ咲坂くん。
There's still something
私た
strange
ちの
about
こと
him.
見る目つき。
What's with the way he
あれ何なの？
looks at us? It's like
ま
we're
るで
not
こ
even
っちが人
human.
間じゃないみたい。
Well, yeah.
よせ
Yeah,
お
pretty
み
much. Cut it out, Omi. Koji says forcefully. Probably less of empathy for his old friend. Out of consideration. Oh my god! That's not even a hard sentence. Okay. Focus. Focus, Rasmus. You can read. Cut it out, Omi. Koji says forcefully. Probably less out of empathy for his friend than out of consideration for Yo. While Koji's kindness makes her happy, Yo also knows that he mustn't take advantage of it. Fuminori's the victim, just as Koji said. He's the one who most deserves sympathy. Yo's feelings for Fuminori are her problem, and no one else's. Oh, so Yo does like Fuminori, which Fuminori is the main character. Our main perspective here. Okay, I'm getting things. I'm getting it. In fact, she thinks even more fondly of him for taking the time to consider than she would have had he treated their relationship casually. Apparently, the fact that Fuminori did not reject her was enough to make them a couple in Koji and Omi's eyes. They've had plenty of fun at Yo and Fuminori's expense since. The truth of it, though, is that he still hasn't given her an answer. After revealing her feelings to him, Yo didn't see Fuminori again until a week later, when she can only stare at his broken body through the window of the ICU. And when he was finally released, after 50 days that seemed an eternity, he was somehow different. She's starting to doubt that he even remembers what she confessed to him before the accident. Now winter's coming, and her feelings hang forgotten in the cold, lonely air. Dr. Tanbo Ryoko has never had a more troublesome patient.
その後の経過はどうですか
Whoa.
咲坂さん。
Hey. Any changes since your last
い
visit?
え、別段。これといって問題もなく。
Nothing to speak of. His voice is hard and flat. his words tossed carelessly into the air. It's like he's speaking to himself in an empty room. Ryoko's a surgeon, not a psychiatrist, but even she can sense the thickness of the wall he has erected between himself and the world.
吐き気やめまい、
Any
幻聴や
nausea,
幻覚といった
dizziness, or
体験は？
hallucinations?
いえ、何も。
No. I think I got a good idea for the voice of the main character. Because he's supposed to be kind of depressed, you'd think. With all meat stuff going on? Yeah. While Sakisaka appears to be looking at Ryoko, his gaze is actually aimed at a fraction down and to the side. He's only superficially engaged in the conversation, when in truth, it does not interest him in the slightest. Perfect rejection. Realizing that she can't interview him like this, Ryoko sighs and sets her chart aside.
咲坂さん、
Mr.
あなたが
Sakisaka,
当院で受けた処置は
or
脳
Sakisaka,
神経医学の分野では世
the
界的に
procedure you
最先
received
端の
at
治
this
療でした
hospital was the latest
その
in
ことはご存
experimental
知ですよね。
neurosurgery. We explained this before, didn't we? Treatment of subdural hematoma through the use of micro machines. A procedure available in Japan exclusively here at T University had been the only way to save Sakisaka Fuminori from a cerebral contusion that should have been left fatal.
最先端であるということは
Without any
まだまだデー
experimental
タの出揃っ
treatments,
ていない
there's always the risk
危
of
険性の
unexpected
伴う治療法
complications.
だったと。
そうでしょうね。
Of course. Sakisaka Fuminori's lips twist slightly in what might be a bitter or mocking smile. But it's gone before Ryoko can discern its meaning.
普通こんなことを言って脅かすのは医者として問題なんですが、施術後に重大な脳障害をきたしたケースも報告されているんです。予後の経過には十分に注意しなければなりません。
Entities Weekly.
先週の MRI はどうでした？
How was last week's MRI? Sakisaka asks abruptly, as if to catch Ryoko off guard. MRI. Magnetic Resonance Imaging. Surprised by Sakisaka's uncommon technical knowledge, Ryoko recalls his
そ
profile.
ういえばあなたも医者の
Oh,
卵
that's
だっ
right.
たわね。
You're a medical student, aren't you?
先生が心配しているような脳機能不全は
The kind of
画
anomaly
像
you're
診断だ
worried
けでも
about
十分にわかるはず
should
ですよ
show
ね。
up on the MRI, right?
何
Did
か
you
異
find
常は
anything?
いいえ、
No. There was nothing. Not the slightest hint of abnormal activity. For a procedure with such a low rate of success, the results have been nothing short of miraculous. However, something still bothers Ryoko. She can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something beneath his guarded exterior. Some terrible weight on his soul, perhaps. But if it's an inorganic problem, then there's nothing she can do as long as he refuses to explain it.
大丈夫ですよ先生。
I'm fine.
現に
I've
僕
been on my
は
own for 3 months
今こ
without
うして
any
病院の
problems.
外でも何不自由なく生活しています。問題なんてない。
ねえ咲坂さん、
Please,
こういった難し
you know
い手術
that
は
continued
予後不断の
observation is
原則なん
required
です。
after these difficult surgeries.
もう少し
You have
私
to
たちを
trust us
信
a little more. Oh. Oh, that's how you do stuff.
用してもらいます。
By
そう
scrolling.
ですよね。
Okay.
僕だって
Wonder if
先
I
生
can
方を信用したい。
save?
どんな相談にも乗ってもらえるんですか？
I suppose you're right. I do want to trust you, Doctor. Can I come to you with anything?
ええ、もちろん。
Yes, of course. Ryoko answers, smiling to cover up her irritation. Sakisaka asked exactly the same question during last week's visit.
じゃあ、先週の話の続きなんですが。先
Have you
生、
learned anything about Dr.
あれから
Ogai?
大貝教授について
As before, the patient is inquiring about someone whom he has no business knowing.
大貝教授のことは、
If you don't mind my asking,
あ
what
な
does
たの
Dr.
治療と
Ogai
は
have to do with
何の
your
関係もない
treatment?
でし
信頼しろと言った矢先
You
に
just told me to
い
trust
きなり
you.
隠し事ですか？
And now you're keeping secrets? Ryoko's used to patients treating her with hostility. With hostility. Some degree of paranoia is natural when dealing with a person whose mistakes could kill you. Ah. Whoa. Oh, okay. I'm messing around with the controls right now. I don't know them. Space is to hide. To see this nice looking picture. Scroll is the log. I don't know how to save. I hope there's saving. Well, there should be saving. I saw a load screen. I just don't know how. Or if it's autosave. In Sakisaka, however, she doesn't see the anxiety that other... Oh, wait, I read that. His demeanor is perfectly calm, almost like a detective questioning a suspect.
何分だいぶ前にここを辞められた方ですからね。私個人としても交流があったわけではないし。
辞めた理由はご存知ない。
ええ、おそらく個人的な事情でしょうね。
Ryoko answers smoothly, her earlier hesitation gone. Having decided at the outside to lie, she has no trouble doing so with a straight face.
それにしても、咲坂さん。
But why do you keep asking about Dr. Ogai? Are you acquainted?
教授は今失踪中なんです。
Did you know that the doctor has gone missing?
いいえ。
No. Ryoko realizes that her answer may have been a little too quick. She should have acted more surprised.
近頃教授の身内の人間と恋にしてい
I've
ました
recently
ね。
come close to a
その人
relative
から
of
調査
his.
を頼まれてい
It
る。
was she who asked me to find him. A relative? Ryoko considers this with a frown.
大貝教授に縁者の
I
方は
didn't
おら
think
れない
Dr.
はずで
Ogai
す
had
が。
any relatives.
おお。
Who
誰か
told
に聞き
you
ま
that?
した。
それは
I
噂
heard it
話。
from a nurse, Ryoko replies, remembering that she just claimed to have had no contact with the man.
なるほど。そんなことが噂になる程度には、大貝教授は有名人だったわけですね。
まあ、一風変わった
I
人だっ
hear
た
he
みたいで
was
す
an
ね。
unusual man.
なのに、誰も彼が大学
No
を辞
one
めた理
knows
由を
why
知
he
ら
left
な
the
いと。
university. Ryoko falls silent, knowing that this isn't a topic she can brush away with a smile. Sakisaka seems to finally grasp her mood. However, as his strangely stiff tone softens a little,
先生、
please,
僕はど
I
うし
have
て
to
も
find
大貝教授
Dr.
に会わなきゃ
Ogai.
な彼がいなくなったせい
There's
で
a girl who needs
行
him.
く当てがなくなり
Can't
困っ
you
てい
help
る
me?
のは
それはむしろ警察の領分なんじゃ
Isn't
ない
this
かしら。
something the police should handle? Although she makes it sound like the most obvious thing in the world, the suggestion is actually a gamble. If Ogai Masahiko's disappearance become a police matter, then the university will be investigated. Everyone who was involved in the incident will be at risk of exposure. And of course, that includes Ryoko herself. She knows, however, that Sakisaka is unlikely to go to the police. First of all, his excuse is obviously a lie. They already made sure that Ogai had no relatives who might come looking for him, which is why they could bury the truth of what happened. But then, how did Sakisaka, a mere patient, learn about Ogai?
咲坂さん、私の知っている範囲のことはどこか長期の旅行にでも行かれたか。
そうですか。
I see. Expecting resistance, Ryoko's surprised when Sakisaka backs down. I'm gonna try. My voice is already getting a little bit tired, so I'll try. And I'll do just the voice of the main character and narration. But if there's important lines, I'll read them. She's still worried about his condition, and the mysterious link between him and Ogai is only making her more uneasy. But as long as he doesn't open up to her, there's nothing she can do. After a brief pause, Ryoko... yawn. Sorry. Ryoko writes progress good on Sakisaka's chart for today.
咲坂さん、それでは来週の診察で
Oh,
すが、
next week's appointment. How's 4 o'clock again sound? Before she can finish, Sakisaka's gone. Sakisaka. That's a fun name. It looks like someone sprayed the walls with pig guts from ceiling to floor. What color should the walls of a hospital be? White, of course. And to the creatures of rotten flesh stambling around me, I'm sure this hallway looks just as white as it should be. I know. Intellectually, that the walls are white. I know that the flesh beasts are really human. I'm the one with the problem, and it's because I've accepted this that I'm able to lead something approaching a normal life. Even if my university's medical department is nowhere near as good as T University's, I'm still a medical student specializing in neurology. I have a basic idea of what has happened to me, though it's hard to believe. This isn't a pathological condition. It's probably some form of agnosia, unlike anything that has ever been studied before. The flesh beast called Tanbo Ryoko said that other patients had developed neurological disorders after receiving the same treatment I did, so I guess I'm just another failure. It makes me want to laugh in that know-it-all doctor's face. That said, I don't blame the doctors who operated on me. After all, I do owe them my life. I know as well as anyone how low the chance of success was, and that I had no other hope of survival. I was unlucky. That's all there is to it. The point is that my condition isn't treatable. Just like someone adapting to a hearing aid or a wheelchair, I have no choice but to adapt to this nauseating scenery. Of course, it's hard. It wasn't easy to resign myself to this fate. But now there's more than just despair. Even for me, there's a glimmer of a hope. Keeping my eyes on my feet, I hurry home. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, in a house that's much too large for me alone. My parents, even unluckier than I was, died in the accident 3 months ago. I couldn't even go to the funeral for being in intensive care. I had to sell my father's business. At least that left me with the house and enough money to live on for a while. Of course I'm sad, but the accident took more from me than my parents. In fact, being on my own has probably saved me. If they were still alive, my parents would never have allowed me to live with some strange girl. Welcome home! As I open the door, a bright voice greets me from the inside. The voice is beautiful and clear as a bell, human. Sweet sound washes the day's cacophony from my memory. I'm home, Saya. Even the patter of feet coming down the hallway is music to my ears. Nowhere else in the city can I hear such footsteps. Only in this house with Saya am I so privileged. Late. I was a little worried. Sorry, I had to stop by the hospital today. In her smile, in the inquisitive tilt of her head, is everything that I've lost. Since my accident, this girl is the only person I've met, perhaps the only person in the entire world who does not trigger my cognitive disorder. Okay. So why is he living with a little girl, though? True, her skin seems too white, and the color of her eyes and hair is probably different in reality, but even so, her form is undeniably human. And it's not just her appearance, and her voice either. As I bend down to take off my shoes, Saya wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me gently into her chest. Her skin feels truly human, not cold or slimy, and from her hair wafts a sweet, feminine fragrance. In all the world, only Saya is pleasing to my 5 senses. And what's more, she smiles at me, embraces me. She knows that she's my salvation, and for some reason is happy that I need her. If I had not met Saya, if I had been all alone in this twisted, filth-ridden world, I would no doubt have succumbed to this madness. It is no exaggeration to say that Saya alone is keeping me alive. What did you do today?
今の模様替えもう半分ぐらい塗り終わったよ。で今はね、
そうか。楽し
もうちょっと時間かかりそうなの待っててくれる？
いいよ。
Sure,
じゃあ
I'll do some more
僕は
work
今
in
の
the
続き
living
をやっ
room.
てる。
After I see the humming Saya off to the kitchen, I step into the living room. I realized one day that if the natural colors of the world were sickening, all I had to do was paint over them with the colors that seemed to be pleasant. I went to the hardware store and bought every color of paint I could find. Then Saya and I tried different combinations until we found one that worked. After painting the bedroom from ceiling to floor, I was finally able to get my first good night's sleep since the accident. When we first started on the living room, Saya, unsure what to do with the curtains, just painted carefully around the windows. Without a moment's hesitation, I tore the curtains down and painted over the glass itself. There'll never be anything out there that I want to see. And as long as we keep the storm shutters closed, the neighbors probably won't think anything of it.
ご飯できたよ。
Dinner's ready!
こっちで食べよう。
Can you bring it
持
in
ってきてくれる
here?
か？
As she enters the living room with a tray of food, Saya sniffs the air.
ペンキの匂い。
The paint smell doesn't bother you? Now that she mentions it, I suppose the smell of paint thinner must be building up in the closed room. It doesn't really bother me, though. There are far worse smells
さ
outside.
やは嫌いかい？
Does it bother you?
ううん平気。
No, I'm fine if you are.
みのりが大丈夫ならいい。
Saya sets food on the table. Unfortunately, neither its color nor its smell is all that appealing. Not that food elsewhere is any different.
いただきます。
Thanks, Saya. As has become routine, I steel myself and methodically transport the food into my mouth. Dang, so even food does not taste good for him. I wonder if it tastes like meat. Like raw, gross meat.
美味しくない？
It's not good? She asks hesitantly.
う
Well,
ん。まあね。
no. Lying won't make Saya happy. She knows about my condition.
気にしないで。
Don't worry
明
about
日
it.
はまた別
I'll
のもの
make
を作
something
ってあ
different
げるか
tomorrow.
ら。
ごめんな。いつも。
Sorry. You always go to the trouble of cooking, but I...
いいのよ。
It's
こうやって
fine.
いろいろ試していけ
If
ば
I keep trying,
い
maybe
つ
I'll
か
find
みのりで
something
も
you'll like.
美味しく食べられるメニューが見つかるかもしれないじゃない。
In my current state, eating is nothing more than an unwelcome duty. As much as I hate it, I need food to survive. If I stay alive, then perhaps one day, as Saya says, I'll be able to taste something delicious again. I met Saya, didn't I?
さやは食べないの？
Aren't you going to eat?
私
No,
は
I
も
already
う
ate.
済ましたから。
Has never once eaten with me. I don't know why she refuses to do so. It makes me a little sad. Yeah, this girl is already so suspicious.
そういえば、今日もう一度病院で
By the
君の
way,
お父
I
さんの
asked
ことを
about
聞い
your
てみた。
father again. Oh, that makes sense. So, apparently, she's that doctor's daughter? Family member?
パパの？
You did? Dr. Ogai Masahiko is Saya's father, and her only living relative. Saya has asked me to unravel the mystery of his disappearance.
やっぱり何も教えてくれない。
They still wouldn't tell me anything.
何か
I
隠
get the
している
feeling they're
雰囲気だった
hiding something.
そう。
Oh. I expected Saya to be a little more disappointed.
心配じゃないのかい？
You haven't given up, have you?
ううん。そういうわけじゃない。
No. Saya responds with an unreadable expression. It's not that. She gives a little shake of her head, and smiles at me once again.
ありがとう、みのり。
Thanks for all you're doing for me.
君はそれ以上のことを。
It's nothing compared to what you've done for me. I thank her for the meal, and set my chopsticks down next to the perfectly clean plate. As wretched as the taste was, thinking of the care that Saya put into it gave me the strength to finish every bite.
じゃあ、お風呂にする？
Is it bath time? Yeah,
ま
will you
た
wash my
背
back
中流して
again?
くれるか。
Uh-oh. I hope there's no nakedness. Cause I gotta sense it. I'm gonna get ready. Prepare. Having my own wife. Not a little sister or anything? No? Okay, dude. Saya. Why are you so good to me? Is this truly what you want? What am I that you can give yourself to me, body and soul? Okay, nothing's showing right now. Is this merely sympathy? Do you pity me, the exile from society? Is that enough for you to surrender yourself to such mad desire? Are you so wanton? What does wanton mean? I'm searching that up. Wanton. Huh? Okay, there's two meanings. One is that wanton means deliberate and unprovoked. Are you so deliberate and unprovoked? Or are you so... The second meaning is sexually unrestrained or having many casual sexual relationships. Huh. Sexually unrestrained. Is that what he means? Okay. Saya's here. She's with me now. Only in this moment is her existence certain. Only when I am joined with her can I believe. No matter what cruel fate might await me, Saya, there is nothing I fear more than losing you.
みのり、泣いてるの？
Are you crying? I realize that my cheeks are wet with tears.
どうしてなんだ、サイ。
Why, Saya? Why do you go so far for me?
みのり。
わからないんだ。わからな
I
いの
don't
に僕
understand
だ
it.
けが
I don't,
どん
but
どん
I'm
君に
losing
惹かれてい
myself
く。
to you more every day. I can't live without you,
耐え
Saya.
られなくなっていく。
I wrap my arms tighter around her, praying that our bodies will melt together and never again be apart.
教えてくれ。
Tell
どう
me,
すれば君を
please,
失わずにいられる。
what must I do to
僕は
keep you
何を
with
すれ
me?
ばいい。
How can I
どうやって
repay
君
you?
に報いればいい。
こうやって抱いていて。
Okay, I don't think it's showing anything, which is good. Huh.
みのりに抱いてもらうの大好き。だから私は海のりから離れたりしない。
なぜ
Why?
なぜ
Why
僕なんだ。
me?
それはね、海のりが一人ぼっちだから。
Damn.
それはさやも一人ぼっちだったから。
The sorrow in her voice resonates with my own. There's a deep loneliness in her eyes. Loneliness, from which now springs boundless affection.
だからさやにも
You're
海
all
の
I
りしか
have.
この世でただ
In the
一
whole
人だけ
wide world, only you will embrace me, my precious Fuminori.
大好きな
Now I know.
海のり。
No matter what horrors this world unleashes upon me, all I'll ever need is Saya. Yo is determined to talk to him today. Nothing will happen as long as she hesitates. It will only prolong her suffering. The time has come to show courage once again. Well, he already has someone else. As a required course with many students, the lecture is held in a large hall that can seat well over 200, but since the room is usually only half full, it is rarely difficult for Yo to find the seat she wants. Yo prefers to sit near the center, where it is easiest to hear the professor. Most of the students congregate in this area for the same reason. Fuminori usually sits beside her, Although, given the ambiguous state of their relationship, she knows better than to take this for granted. Still, she tries to save a seat whenever possible. The classroom isn't crowded today, so Yo was able to set her bag on the seat next to her without inconveniencing anyone. When the professor arrives at the usual time to start class, there's still no sign of Fuminori. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yo scans the room furtively. Fuminori's still there, sitting alone in the far back corner. Did he miss Yo when he came in? No, he couldn't have. And besides, no serious student would willingly sit so far away from the front. Feeling miserable, Yo slides her bag back over to herself. Fuminori's out the door the moment the class ends. Yo barely manages to catch up to him before he disappears down the hallway. Fuminori! Fuminori! Fuminori jerks at the sound of his name. You would think she just screamed at him.
何か
What? He turns to her and asks reluctantly. Now that they are face to face, Yo is painfully aware of how much weight Fuminori has lost. His sunken eyes, protruding cheekbones are a far cry from the features familiar to her. She wonders whether he's under a lot of stress, or perhaps not getting enough nutrition. Maybe it's both. He definitely looks more tense than he should, afraid, even though of what she can't imagine. His eye moves restlessly from point to point, and he refuses to look Yo in the eye. It hurts to see Fuminori this way. What could have changed him so? Well, didn't the friend even just say that both his parents died like 3 months ago? So even though he's acting weird, I think that would change him. You know? I don't think Yo's thinking very much right now. Today she reminds herself, rekindling the flame of courage in her heart. I want to talk to you about something. Do you have time? The courtyard is empty and silent. No one is willing to sit and chat in the cold November air.
話って何
What is it? Don't you remember? He almost blurts the question, but manages to keep her composure. You've been acting strange lately. I'm worried about you.
そうかもね
Well, a lot's happened.
あんな目にあった後だから
He smiles like it's nothing, but even that seems forced. He's even standing precisely on one pace farther away from her than he used to. Is that really all?
君にはそれだけじ
What
ゃない
more
よ
do you
うに見えるの
want?
かい
Yo manages to keep from flinching at the harshness of his tone. It's like you're struggling with something. Rather than answer, Fuminori grinds his toe into the dead grass at his feet, fearing that her determination might flag. Yo lets the words come out as they may. It's like there's a terrible weight on your shoulder, and it's slowly breaking you. That's how you look to me.
そうかい
Oh, really? Fuminori mutters through clenched teeth, no longer trying to deny it or change the topic. This is an even clearer signal of rejection than his prior evasiveness. But Yo's determination is strong. Today, at least, she won't back down. It's times like these, she implores, trying to convey the sincerity of her feelings for him. That you need your friends. I feel really bad about your parents. Okay, 1 second. I will be right back. Just 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Where were we? I feel really bad about. I feel really bad about your parents. You never know. You have Kobe, me, and you have me. Yo can no longer stop the words from pouring from her lips. She fears that if she does not unleash her feelings now, they'll be lost forever. It's not just been helpful. You don't have to do it to other yourself. You don't make it. You don't need to. You don't make it to better. Please, Tom.
やめてくれ
Stop it! Fuminori shouts, silencing Yo's entreaty. She promised herself that she wouldn't back down, but Fuminori's expression is terrible enough to shatter her resolve. The look in his eyes is not of anger or any other warm-blooded emotion. It is hate. Murderously cold hate.
そういえば君には一
Come
つ
to think of it,
返事しなきゃ
I
いけ
never
ない要
gave
件
you
が
an
あるんだ
answer,
ね
did I? He remembers. He remembers and he still has treated her so coldly. That is all the answer she needs. If his words stab any deeper, she might very well die.
僕は君のことをとりわけ特別に意識したことなんてなかった。君に好意を持たれてもどう接すればいいのか迷ってた。
Sorry. My mom was talking to me. Okay. I never saw you any special way before. When you asked me out, I wasn't sure how to respond.
僕が君のこ
I
とどう
didn't know
思って
how I
るの
really
か
felt about you then.
久坂さん
Fuminori.
でもね、
But now, I can
今で
give
は
you
も
an
うはっき
answer.
りと答えが
I've
出
had
てる。
plenty of time to think it over,
あれ
you
が
know.
筑波さん、
I hate you, Sukaba.
僕はあんたのこと
I
が
don't
大
even want
嫌
to
い
look at you.
顔も見たくない。
Don't cry, Yo tells herself, but too late to stop the tears pouring from her eyes.
もう二度と会いたくないっていうのは無
I
理だね。
suppose it's too much to
同じ
hope
学
I
校に
never
通っ
see
てる
you
んだし。
again. We do go to the same school. Damn. What a jerk.
だからせめて今後は僕に声をかけないでくれないか。
So just make this the last time you speak to me, okay? Your voice makes me sick. How can you be so cruel?
君さ、少しは頭を冷やした方が良かったんだよ。
You should really try thinking for
どうせ
yourself
オミは
once
工
in
事
a
にけしかけ
while.
られてその気
I
になっ
bet
た
it
だ
was
けなんだ
Koji
ろう。
and Omi's idea, wasn't it?
自分一人で登せてる分には勝手だけどさ。
You can play at love
他
all you
人を
want,
巻き込むなっ
but
ていうんだ。
leave me out of it. That's all Yo can take. Even after shedding tears in front of him, she absolutely refuses to let him hear her cry. Any disgrace would be preferable to breaking down here. So she runs, fleeing breathlessly from the courtyard with Fuminori's cold smile at her back. Omi was the first to catch sight of Yo and Fuminori leaving for the courtyard. Reluctant to interrupt them, but still unwilling to leave them alone, she and Koji ended up watching the whole thing from the shadow.
あいつ
That asshole. Throughout the exchange, Omi was clearly itching to jump out and punch Fuminori in the face. Knowing her temper, Koji kept firm hold of her arm until the end. If he hadn't, she might very well have done it. Fuminori leaves after Yo, his every step seeming to take an act of willpower. Koji sighs heavily into the once more empty courtyard, but the bitter taste in his mouth will not go away.
どうしちまったんだかな。
What's wrong with him? Even Koji cannot forgive Fuminori's treatment of Yo. However, the first thing that he feels is confusion, not anger. Koji's known Fuminori since long before college. Fuminori was never this cruel before. There's no question now that the accident has changed him.
ねえコージこの
Are you
まま
just
放
gonna
って
let
おく
this
つも
go?
り
放っておきたくないにしたって俺たちに
I
何
don't
がで
want
き
to,
る。
but what can we do?
覗き見よりマシなことよ
Something besides watch.
私崎坂くんに一言言ってやらなきゃ気が済まないわ
それでつくばの気が晴れるってもんでもないだろうに。
Oh. Oh, that's how I do stuff. Right click. I didn't try right click. Quick save. Yeah. I'll just do a save right now. Okay. That won't make Sukaba feel better.
だったら私のキーだけでも晴らすわよ
Yo and Omi are best friends, just like Koji and Fuminori. In fact, it was the relationship between Koji and Omi that brought the other two together. Omi's anger is only natural.
私崎坂くんと二人だけで話してみたいわコージはついてこなくてもいいから
本気かよ。
その代わり陽のことを見ていてあげてあの子多分心底傷ついてるから泣き終わった後で誰かの優しさが必要になると思う
なあ、それって俺とお前の役回りが逆じゃないのか？
私みたいな性格だとね慰め役は無理励ます
なるほど。納得いった。
あ嫌な言い方
じゃあまあ、そっちは
Anyway.
ほどほどにしとけよな。
Just go easy, okay? Ending the conversation before Omi's mood gets any worse, Koji heads off to find Yo. Mute. Meet world. I feel awful. Miserable, but also refreshed. I finally crossed the line. I knew it would come crashing down like this sooner or later, having become unable to feel anything but disgust for other people. There was no way I could hope to maintain the relationships I'd had before the accident. Today's incident will definitely get me back to Koji and Omi, and everyone will be convinced I've had a major change of character. Honestly, I don't care anymore. At least, I probably won't be committed for this. I just need to avoid acting any stranger that I already have. This puts a rift between me and the others? Good. The thought of all the stress I'll avoid brings a smile to my lips. I'm fed up with them, sticking their noses into my life. It's like they don't care that they make my gut turn just by being near me. I've been terrified of them until now, but today I struck fear into one of them. In that sense, it's something of a relief. But I'm not entirely without remorse for what happened. The person I just demolished with the verbal equivalence of a nuclear bomb used to be my friend, Yo. Even if my senses don't believe it, my mind accepts the theory. I don't have any particular grudge against Yo herself, and I didn't want to hurt her. In retrospect, perhaps I should have just ignored her outright. Yo was an attractive girl. I certainly didn't think bad of her. To be honest though, I was annoyed when Koji and Omi tried to stick us together. It felt like they were just using us as entertainment, and Yo seemed totally oblivious to the fact that she was dancing to their tune. Her cluelessness was irritating. Still, I knew that none of them meant any harm. Back then, I didn't have any reason to hurt others just to get my way. If having a casual relationship with Neo would keep our circle of friends together, I was willing to make that compromise. Now, however, there's no room in my heart for such forbearance. Merely talking to someone is an ordeal. Then, how can I be expected to show them kindness? These ruminations have left me exhausted. I want to return to Sai as soon as possible, but thinking about the packed trains and crowded downtown streets between here and home saps my spirit. Catching sight of a nearby bench, I sit down and close my eyes to the horrors of the world. I can't do anything about the stink or the noise, but at least I can calm my nerves enough to rest. When I regained consciousness in the T University hospital ward, the world was as dark as it is now. I had not yet recovered my sight, even though my eyes had optical nerves were undamaged. It must have been an after effect of the accident. Blindness was a shock, but now I know that my suffering then was nothing. After all, my senses of hearing, touch, taste, and smell were all fine at the time. The real horror began when my sight returned. Meat. It's the meat. I panicked when I first saw the nightmarish hospital and the blood-curdling shapes of the doctors and nurses. But I soon guessed the cause. It chills me to think of what might have happened if I recovered my sight along with my consciousness. Suddenly awakening in what can only be described as hell, I would no doubt have lost my mind instantly. Soon my disorder spread to the sense of touch, taste, and smell. As it turns out, sight exerts tremendous influence over the other four. The taste of my food, the feel of my bed sheets, the fragrance of my get well flowers all became as unbearably foul as my eyes said they should be. Eventually, when even the doctors' voices became unrecognizable as human, I decided to do that. I'm not gonna say that word because I think it does affect stuff. I didn't believe for a second that I could live in this new world. At least not until I met Saya. Drifting between the nightmare in my dreams and the nightmare of reality, I didn't notice her enter my room. The next thing I knew, there was a face staring down at me from next to my bed. The face was not covered in pus or slime or earthworm like feelers. It had smooth white cheeks, round eyes, a lovely little nose, all things I've never expected to see again. The face was that of a girl, undeniably human and positively glowing with beauty. Ah. Oh. 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 I sighed in admiration, savoring the first peace and joy since regaining my sight. She not expected such a reaction, apparently.
怖くないの？
Aren't you afraid of me? She asked, looking at the clock. I saw that it was exactly 3 in the morning. No time for a young girl to be alone in the hospital. Perhaps she expected me to mistake her for a ghost. What is that sound? Okay. But I would not have cared if she had been a ghost. Either way, she was a godsend.
君は誰だい？なぜここに？
Hold on a sec. I'm getting a lot of interruptions right now, so... Sorry about that. I keep going. Who are you? What are you doing here?
私はサヤ。
I'm Saya. I'm
パ
looking
パ
for
の
my
こと
dad.
探しに来たの。
I assumed that she was the daughter of a late shift doctor or another patient. It was unusual, but not unthinkable for such a girl to be wandering around the hospital.
あなた、怖がらないんじゃつまらない。
あ、ちょっと。
Wait. I cried, desperate to keep her from leaving. It was only after she turned around that I realized I hadn't thought of what to say next.
何？
Her beautiful eyes drew me in, healing my soul to its core. Through the white haze clouding my mind, I struggled to form a coherent sentence.
女の子にお願いしていいことじゃないんだ。
I shouldn't do this to a girl, but you're the only one I can ask. No longer concerned with propriety, let the words come as they will. Will you let me hold your hand? So I looked confused at first, but then she smiled like she just found a new toy. Her smile was brighter than my memories of the sun.
変な人。
You're strange,
そんなこと言い出したの。あな
she
た
said,
が初
holding
め
out
て。
her slender white hand. No one's asked me anything like that before. Ever so carefully, as though catching snowflakes, I placed my palm against hers. She was there, just beyond the palm of my hand. Thinking back on the joyful tears I shed then, I know that this is the moment I was saved from my fate.
この半月の間に。
This is the first time in weeks that I've touched someone and felt them as human.
は？
Huh?
他の人じゃダメなん
I
だ。
can't touch anyone else.
僕事故に
I
遭っ
was in an accident,
そ
and
の
as a side
後遺症
effect
ら
of
し
the
いんだけど
surgery, I can't see people as human anymore.
ふーん。本当に不思議な人。あなたって面白い。
She
明日の
said,
夜も
winding her fingers gently around mine. Can I come back tomorrow night?
あ、そりゃも
Yes, of course.
ういいのかい？
But are you sure it's okay?
大丈夫よ。
Don't
夜
worry,
は
she
私
replied.
のものだから。
The night belongs to me. Beef room. I love the beef room. And so our rendezvous began. Sai came to my room every night at 3 a.m., skillfully taking advantage of the duty nurse's shift change. I was astonished to learn that she was living inside the hospital.
これだけ広いと隠れる場所には事欠かないから。
Answering my surprise with a nonchalant smile, she'd been living in the suburbs with her father, she told me, until one day he'd suddenly stopped coming home. After she tried waiting, Saya had decided one night to sneak into the hospital where he'd worked, and where she'd lived for over 2 months, searching for his whereabouts all the while.
学校には行かなくていいのかい？
Don't you have to go to school?
いいの。勉強は
No.
全部パパに教えても
Dad
らった
taught
か
me
ら。
everything I need to know. I'm
サ
really
ヤ
smart.
はとっても頭がいいんだよ。
She was a strange girl on the one hand. She looked and acted like a child. On the other, she was remarkably self-reliant, and at times exhibited a sharp intelligence and deep knowledge that many may have found unsettling. So, I think before, it was implied that he was doing stuff, certain things with this girl, and then he also says this about her. Oh. Okay. Okay then. I didn't care. Sai was the only other human in a world gone mad. Her existence meant far more to me than the standards of society. I think he's justifying it right now.
危なくないのか？
Aren't you worried that
見
you
つか
might
り
get
そうになっ
caught?
たことは？
全然平気。
Nope.
ここにいれば
I don't have
食
to
べ
worry
るも
about
のに
food
も不自
here,
由し
and
ない
it's
し、
a lot more fun than staying in
パパ
Dad's
の
house by
うち
myself.
一人ぼっちでいるよりもずっと楽しいよ。入院してる患者
I
さんた
looked
ち
at
の
the
うち、
patients list and found
ちょっ
ones
と
who
精
had mental
神的に
problems.
参ってそうな
Sai
人を事前
continued,
にチェックしておいて
grinning
ね。
mischievously. Yeah, I found all the ones with the mental problems.
時々部屋に真夜
Sometimes
中
I
に
sneak
忍
into
び
their
込んで
rooms late at night
脅
and
かしたり
scare
する
them.
の。
Even
その
if they
人
were
が大騒ぎしても、そういう患者さんの言うことはみんな真に受けたりしないから。
Yeah, I sneak into the mentally ill patient's room and scare them. Even if they raise a fuss, no one believes what mental patients say.
結局は悪い夢ってことで
They just
片
brush
付け
it
られ
off
ちゃう
as a
し。
bad dream. Her confession reminded me that the hospital was famous for its ghost stories. We could imagine that there's actually a real girl impishly roaming these hallways.
じゃあ僕も最初
So
はそのつ
that's
も
why
り
you
で。
came to my room the first time?
うん。ごめんね。
Yeah, sorry.
怒
Are you
った
mad? While her pranks were hardly praiseworthy, I couldn't bring myself to scold her for the very thing that had brought us together.
もうやらない方がいい。
You shouldn't do it
その代わ
anymore.
り
Well, you can
夜は
talk to
僕
me
の話
instead.
し相手になってくる。
さやもその方が
Yeah,
楽し
that's
い。
more fun for me too. With extreme care, I was able to conceal my sensory disorder. It was glaringly obvious that the doctors had no way to cure me, and the fact that I had undergone a still experimental procedure made me even more cautious. As a medical student, it was easy for me to imagine how the doctors would react if they discovered that I was exhibiting such unusual side effects. I was not about to become a guinea pig, a mere specimen to be examined with a clinical detachment. And so, I hid my discomfort and loathing behind a mask of normalcy, convincing the doctors that any sign of stress were merely a result of hospitalization. Sai was my support. Looking forward to her nightly visits gave me the strength to endure my daily torture. Hope can make an enormous difference in a patient's progress. With the aid of my secret nurse, I recovered at a pace that left the doctor stunned. On the last night before my release, I summoned my courage and asked her,
君は
"Are you
これ
gonna
から
stay
もず
here
っとこの
forever?"
病院に居続け。
うん。結
Yeah,
局パパの
I
手がか
couldn't
りは
learn
な
anything
かっ
about
た
my
け
dad,
ど、
but it's not like I have
も
anywhere
う
else to
あげ
go.
るところもない
I
し、
guess I'll stay as long as I can
バレ
hide.
そうになるまではいいかな。
In other words, there was nothing keeping her here.
よかったら
Why
not stay with
me? I asked creepily. The question took all the courage I had.
え？
家族はもういないから。
My family's gone,
部
so
屋
I have
は
plenty of
いくら
room.
でも余ってる。
You won't need to hide, and it's not a
人目
bad
を
place
忍
to
ぶような
live.
必要もない。
ずっとふみのりと一緒に暮らす
Want me
の？
to live with you? I was too afraid to ask what she thought of that, so I hastily offered a deal.
君の父さんのこと
In
は
exchange,
代わりに
I'll
僕
help
が
you look
探
for
して
your
あげる
father.
約
I'll
束する
find
よ
him no matter what.
課題
難しいと思うよ。
I think that's gonna be hard, Saya said, looking a little embarrassed.
多分パパ何か
I
悪
probably
いこ
did
とをし
something
て
bad and had to
こ
leave
の
the
病院を辞
hospital.
めだから警察と
We
かは
can't get
困
the
るの。
police involved.
なるべく
You'll
こ
have
っ
to be
そりと
as discreet as
探さなきゃ
possible.
いけないし。
頑張るよ
I'll
ど
do
んなこと
whatever
だっ
it
てやる
takes, alright?
僕は
Unable to control myself, I finally spoke the truth.
さやと
I can't be
離れたくない
apart
ん
from
だ
you. First she looked bewildered, but after a few moments of silence, she said,
少しだけ
Give me a
考
little
え
time.
させて。
That night, she left my room earlier than usual. On the day of my release, I managed to smile as I accepted the hideous, foul-smelling, celebratory bouquet. The flesh beasts calling themselves Koji, Omi, and Yo came to pick me up. Though they had come to see me many times during my stay, it never got easier to see my friends change so horribly. My sudden tears of despair drew suspicion, but I managed to explain them away as tears of joy. While we walked to Koji's car, I looked desperately for Saya amid the grotesque scenery. Even as we drove away, I kept watching the hospital fade into the distance, praying for a last glimmer of hope. But Saya never appeared. After Koji and the others dropped me off, I paused a while to regard my surroundings. I had lived my entire life on this block. In this house, there was no other place I could call home. But nothing was as I remembered. As I walked up the path to the front door and took in the yard where I had spent my childhood, I could feel those memories being defiled by the twisted, festering shapes around me. Inside the house, I found nothing familiar, nothing to offer me comfort and warmth. What I had once called home was now a whole other world.
僕にはも
I have no home,
う
I
帰る場所
whispered.
なんてない
With a smile of self-pity. There was one last stop to make. One last nail to hammer into my coffin. I stepped into the room that had cradled me from childhood. The walls were papered with human entrails. The bed a tangled mass of warm flesh. But none of that mattered. There, curled up on the bed like an abandoned cat, was Saya. As I stood there in shock, she looked up at me and in a tiny, weak voice said,
本当に
Can I really stay?
ここにいてもいい？
I responded by sweeping her into sweeping her into my arms, embracing her tightly so that she would not escape. Saya did not resist. Okay. How long have I been going for so far? Hour 30. Ooh, nice. This is a pretty. I'll pause here for a sec. It's pretty good so far. It's definitely very interesting. And creepy. Especially the main character. He's a little bit, you know. When she arrives at the Saka house, Omi first takes a deep breath to calm herself. Her anger does not vanish entirely, of course, but at least now she can hear herself think. While waiting for a response from the intercom, she looks over the patch of yard that she can see from outside the gate. Even Omi isn't normally one to complain about other people's housekeeping, but this is going too far. The grass is growing wild, and there are piles of dead leaves scattered everywhere. It doesn't just look untended, it looks like an uninhabited ruin. It's still light out, but every window has its storm shutters tightly sealed. Omi guesses that they've been closed since morning. What kind of life is Fuminori leading? Even if he's living alone, he can't neglect his housework forever. And is it just her imagination? Or does something stink like rotten meat? It couldn't be coming from the yard, could it? Is it? Is it Saya? I have a feeling that it might be that Saya is like, I don't know. I don't know. I have a little theory. I'll see if I'll just wait and see if it comes true. I won't say much yet. Given the state of intercom, she doubts that Fuminara will respond to a knock, so Omi decides to just open the door and go in shouting. If the door is locked, she'll just have to. Surprisingly, the doorknob turns easily in her hand, and the enraged Omi finds herself throwing the door open wider than she intended. Her nostrils are instantly assaulted by a choking stench. What is that smell? As Omi stands petrified on the threshold, the cowbell hanging on the inside of the door chimes loudly. A moment later, welcome home. Oh no. Wait, I need to go back a sec. Is this back to the present? I think it is. I wasn't really paying attention, but I think this is back to the present when she went to talk to him, maybe? Omi can't believe her ears. The voice she just heard cannot have been human, yet its intonations were just too complex for any animal she can imagine. Is someone there? There's no response. Okay, yeah, now it's very... I think I have an idea that maybe Saya is like a meat person. A meat person. To the rest of the world, except for what's his name? Main character. Because everything else looks like the meat stuff to him. Ooh. Yeah, she totally is. It's gotta be. That's gotta be what it is. Scary. Sickening, like rotten fish guts. Has food been left to spoil in the kitchen? She hears a bubbling sound up ahead. I want to see what she looks like as a meat person. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floor, Omi makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark, and chooses to look into the lit room. It's the kitchen, lit by what must be the only window in the house, not covered by a storm shutter. The sound she heard was the pot boiling on the stove, and on the chopping board next to it lie a butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene, with the light of the setting sun making everything the color of decomposing fruit. Something is wrong. Who was cooking here, and where did they go? Omi calls, regretting it immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking. As her words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Huh? She timidly reaches down to touch her feet. Her fingertips come away covered with a vicious olive green slime, like the filthy water from a tank lawn clogged with algae and dead fish. The whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Omi now wishes that she'd worn her shoes inside. Manners be damned. When she looks back ruefully the way she came, she realizes that her current position is not visible from the entrance. This kitchen must be where that strange voice came from. The next room is probably the den, as she expected from the closed storm shutters. It's pitch black inside. Omi wants nothing more than to flee this house, but that would mean turning her back to the darkness, and that she simply cannot bring herself to do so. Omi sets foot into the den. It's too dark to see anything, and the stink is far worse than before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch, finding it much sooner than she expected. But she flips it on like it's her last hope. So many colors. You know what? That doesn't look that bad. It's kind of like an art piece, like those art pieces. What's it called? The surrealist stuff. I don't know. Whatever it's called. These colors. The purple of entrails, the brown of rotten meat, the crimson of fresh blood, the yellow of fat. These colors, and more that cannot be described, cover every inch of the room in maddening array. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hatred, malice, and insanity. It's not that bad. I'd paint my room like this. Even the TV's painted. What? Omi's legs give out from the shock, sending her to the floor. Slime immediately soaks through her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping up her legs, crotch, and her neck. Oh no! That can't be good. I just had an idea. I think maybe once I'm done this game, I'll do an artwork of Saya. Yeah, that's a good idea. Her hand flies to her neck, where it's greeted by another drop of chilly slime. Above her, something is dripping down on her head. Is it Saya above her? Making perhaps the worst decision of her life, Omi looks up. The predator clinging to the ceiling, poised to leap upon its prey. She sees it in every detail. Her mouth and nose are sealed before she can scream, and her belly is torn open as something enters to feast on her innards. Whoa. I want to see what Saya looks like. Omi has already gone mad. Oh man, I guess not yet. I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad that I had to get off halfway and walk. I'm running pretty late. Is Saya worried? I hope she's not mad. When I enter the yard, I realize that the front door has been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway. And I hear what it sounds like, someone smacking their lips. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, though not unpleasant. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Everything must be like switched in this reality that he perceives in the meat world. Yeah, I like the meat world. That's a good name. Where all the smells are like bad, except maybe bad smells are good. So he's probably smelling the dead body. Oh no, it's gonna be something disturbing gonna happen probably. At first I'm surprised what I see in the living room. The floor's covered with what seems to be some kind of grass. Probably the source of the herb-like smell. There are fruit or vegetable-like balls of varying size scattered everywhere. Uh-oh.
Saya.
Saya. Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She then looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. This is probably why he never ate with her before.
何を食べてるんだい
What are you eating?
これは
Well, she stammers, so flustered that I actually feel bad for sneaking up on her. It's your friend. Remembering that she's never eaten from me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed.
一ついいかな
Can I have one? Uh-oh. Oh. 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 This is so gross. Oh.
何か味付けとか調理してあるの
調理ってほどのことはさばいてから
Oh.
ちょっと溶かして食べ
Man.
やすくしただけで
Okay.
ほとんど
I
生
knew it was gonna be pretty bad, but this is... this is gross. A fruity flush. Oh. Ooh. I'm actually
大丈夫
freaking grossed out.
それって
僕でも食べられる味だっていうよりうまいよこれ
そうなの
そうなの
そうなんだふみのりもこういうのが好きだったんだ
さやっていつもこういうものを食べてたのか
こんな大物は久しぶりだけどね
お
近所の公園とかで取ってくれるやつ
Oh no. Yeah. That is what she's just been secretly eating this whole time. You know what? Saya is probably a monster or something. But she doesn't even seem that bad. It's not like she forced this on him. And she tried to make him not eat it. The stuff. So, you know what? Right now, Saya doesn't even seem like that bad of a person. Other than, like, catching people to eat at a nearby park. There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard about fruits like these growing there, but, well, of course, they only look like fruits to me. They're really something else.
ごめんね一番美味しいと
I
ころ
already
は
ate the best
さ
part.
っきさや
Oh
が
no.
全部
いいよまた今度ででもこれで
Man,
Hasta
I ate like more than
la
half
de
pizza
que-
before this. And now all this gross stuff. I'm feeling nauseous. Now we can eat together.
まだいっぱいあるし食べきれない分は冷やせば 2,3 日は大丈夫だよちょっと味は
じゃあ早めに片付けておこうか
Thinking of tomorrow's dinner filled me with anticipation. I feel that little by little I'm starting to regain the joy of living. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. Hospital. I'm thinking. Nah, I was gonna say this would probably be a good place to end it, but I'm still good to keep going. Chapter 4. A medical student relates his shocking experiences. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at the hospital around the end of last spring. It began with patients waking up in the middle of the night, screaming. They all spoke of terrifying nightmares, and many of them had to be sedated. Some patients were even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that they all had exactly the same dream. A dream about some horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats around campus, looking for scraps from the students. She ate the cats. Okay, yeah, Tsaya is not... nah, she is a bad person. One day, the cats suddenly disappeared, and it wasn't that they've stopped coming. It was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped walking their dogs around. According to rumors, the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near their school. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs kept disappearing from storage. People came close to losing their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times that it happened. They tried to keep it from the students, but we heard it was a lot worse than that. People started saying that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could only have been made in the middle of the night. Traces of something that had crawled down the hallway, or weird stains caused by something dripping through the ceiling. The late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same nights that patients woke up screaming. There's only one last story. One you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetrics department went crazy. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. If that were true, the police would have come and it would have been all over the news. But they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. Okay, well, she eats babies too. These strange incidents suddenly stopped toward the end of summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about that gives me the creeps. Beep boop boop. Nothing. This is the 3rd day in a row that they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. I wonder why. That's odd. I wonder what happened. There's no sign that she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Parents have already filed a missing persons report. Well, you know her. She probably just popped up somewhere like nothing happened. I hope so, he replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her as well. Yo hasn't seen Fuminori since then. Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach her or Koji. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2. Hey, Koji, let's keep thinking. Is there somewhere Omi might have gone? No. I already checked everywhere. It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi plans to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silences is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next period. Well, I've gotta go. Unless Koji's mistaken, Yo's supposed to have class next period too, but she just sits there, staring off into space. Unable to come up with anything to say, he leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the exact same place. What the hell is Fuminori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing he did was question Fuminori. After all, the last time he'd seen her was just before she stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind. Fuminori responded with unequivocal denial and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. Did Omi even make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she left, and might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into some trouble on the way? Koji concluded, or more accurately, convinced himself that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved with her disappearance. Well, I don't think Fuminori actually know. To be fair to him, he's not lying, technically, because he doesn't know. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination only up to the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she'd planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Except for the fact that he actually does know where she was going. And that they do need to know that. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But the conflict is built up inside of him without his notice, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch the sight of his friends back, through the crowd of his milling students. I'll just leave this here for a sec. Okay. Okay. Fuminori. At first, Koji assumes that he's headed to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he's instead going home. Strange. Medical students have required courses in the afternoon. Though he's initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts for only a second. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough behind that he won't be noticed. Uh-oh. He might be the next dinner. Fuminori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess was that he was going to see his doctor at the T University Hospital, but Fuminori rode straight through the closest station. Where is he going? At first, Koji felt ashamed for telling his friend like this, but his conscience fell silent as Fuminori's actions grew more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji's beginning to think that there must be more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether Fuminori can still be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It's easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. This neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escaped assimilation. Koji is amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour out of central Tokyo. Fuminori seems to know these streets. He moves quickly and purposely through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fuminori reaches a house without ringing the bell or even knocking. He opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. After waiting to see if Fuminori comes back out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ogai, it reads. Koji's never heard of anyone by that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it has been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Koji settles down on a bench to begin his stakeout. I should have brought more smokes. 1 hour passes, and then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon, twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omi on his cell and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are futile, as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue and the streets light come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back toward the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now, investigating the house is more important than tailing Fuminori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. After receiving the expected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air thick with mold and dust fills Koji's nostrils. It's the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There's also a faint hint of something else in the air. Something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be cut off. Koji uses his cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could only have been made by shoes. Fuminori's. Koji decides to follow suit and dispense with courtesy. He enters with his shoes on. The lighter's flickering flame pushes back on the deathly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining. Everything from furniture to tableware and appliances. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of dust suggests that the house has been empty for several months, which means that the owner must have left with little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, yet still exhibiting signs of life was once lived there. The house reminds Koji of a passenger ship entombed at the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly enters his mind. No one is living here, but that does not have to mean that the owner left. Maybe he was murdered and his rotting corpse is right under Koji's feet. He finds himself wanting a stronger light. A flashlight in his hand would make him feel much better. Koji follows Fuminori's footsteps to the 2nd floor, where he begins to catch the scent of paper in the stale air. It's the smell of old books, instantly recognizable to anyone who has worked in an antique bookstore or library. The first room on the 2nd floor turns out to be a study. Its towering shelves packed with such a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floor. As a medical student himself, he's able to discern at a glance that the study belongs to a medical professional, and a high-level one at that. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student's understanding, the owner's interests lie more with medical research than with clinical practice. Fuminori must have spent most of his time here. The scattered dust suggests that he was searching for something, and the contents of the desk drawers are in obvious disarray. A small pile of books stacked on the side table catches his eye. Being next to the desk, they must have been the most frequently read. Their nature could shed some light on the character of the person who worked here. Koji frowns as he examines the 3 books. These aren't scientific texts like the rest, but old, leather-bound Western tomes, like the sort you would find in a rare bookstore. The titles are meaningless to him. Try de chiffre appears to concern semiotics, but Ars Magna... Oh, that's not French. Ars Magna et Ultima is some kind of treatise on divination. And then there's the Voynich manuscript, which looks like some sort of picture book. But he pages through it. He finds the text utterly incomprehensible. Maybe it's some kind of cipher. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine, refuting Koji's earlier guess that this guy was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices the glint of something black and metallic underneath the chair. A pocket-sized flashlight, quite out of place among all these dusty books. Fuminori must have brought it in. With relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the flashlight. Its tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house. Koji notices something strange. Something that was not visible in the lighter's weak flame. The slime. Uh-oh. Dark, oily stains are everywhere. The stains are especially thick around the doorknobs and stair banisters, like someone grasped them with hands wrapped in greasy cloth. Looking closer, he sees places where slime was splashed low on the walls, almost as if a wet mop was run violently across the floor. Could Ogai have made these marks? If so, how? Koji begins to feel sick as he imagines a man shambling through the house with slime dripping from his body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He discovers 2 empty suitcases, not what one would leave behind when going on a long vacation. A sudden chill runs through him. Whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call the police right away. He might get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but if they find the body later, it'll be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. The flashlight reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. He doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. A common scene from TV dramas flashes through his head. A body with slit wrists floating in a bathtub full of water. And wasn't there a movie where a hitman disposes of his victim in a bathtub filled with lye? Koji braces himself for the worst and opens the door slowly, and shines his light into the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Bones. A mountain of bones, black with dry flesh and blood. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something is wrong. He realizes as he tries desperately to get his thoughts in order. The bones are too small, and there are too many of them. They aren't human. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. The bones are piled atop each other like fallen leaves. They appear to be small, from small animals, perhaps cats or dogs. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many bodies would it take to produce this many bones? The bones have all been separated from one another, so it doesn't look like the bodies were just thrown into the tub and left to rot. Each bone is covered with deep grooves, marks left by teeth biting through the flesh. Koji's sanity won't let him consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have kept some sort of carnivorous animal as a pet, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. But why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garbage. Or was there something keeping him from leaving the house? The relief Koji felt when he realized the bones weren't human is once again under attack. In the first place, what the hell was Fuminori doing here?
どうした、コージ。
What's wrong, Koji? Koji whirls around, his light revealing Fuminori's expressionless face.
不法侵入だぞ。
You're trespassing.
お前だって同じだろうが。
So are you, Koji replies, barely managing to speak over the pounding of his heart. Fuminori pushes past Koji and looks into the bathtub. He doesn't even flinch at the sight of the bones.
僕はこの家の人と知り合いなんだ。
A friend of
頼
mine
まれて
lives
探
here.
し物をしに来た
I'm
だけ
just
さ。
running an errand.
知り合いって
What?
いつから
Who is this person?
一体何者
Where
なん
did you
だ
meet them? Koji doesn't want to believe the old friendly Fuminori could have had contact with denizens of this house.
いずれお前にも紹介するよ。
I'll introduce
僕
you
の
one
恩
of
人
these
とも言える
days,
人だから
he。says, turning to leave with even a glance at Koji. I owe her my life.
おい、文則
Hey, Fuminori! Koji runs after Fuminori. His heart is finally beating normally again.
お前まさか
Wait,
近頃
is
様
this
子が
the
おかしい
friend
の
of
は
yours reason you've
そ
been
の知
acting
り合いっ
so
ていうやつのせいな
strange?
んじゃ
Standing in the entrance, Fuminori glares coldly at Koji over his shoulder. The utter lack of emotion in his eyes gives Koji pause.
僕の後をつけてきたんだね。
You followed me, didn't you? Nope. Koji swallows. What can he say?
そういうのは迷惑だ。
You're starting to
二度
bother
と
me,
やらない
Koji.
でもらいたい。
Don't do it again.
あ
Fine. Fuminori walks away without another word, leaving Koji alone in the entrance. Up until this very moment, concern for his friend was still at the forefront of his mind. Now, however, that concern is swiftly giving way to a growing sense of dread. Does the Fuminori he knew no longer exist? Was the person who just stared Koji down an imposter, wearing Fuminori's skin? Koji has begun to believe that it might be so. Okay. Okay. That is probably a good place to end off this for today. Okay. Because give me a sec. I'll talk about it in a sec. Save. Oh yeah, I just saved. Quick game. There. Okay. So yeah. Well. Huh. I don't really know what to say. This is very crazy. Very, very crazy. Oh, but it's really good though. Yeah. That was a pretty good place to end off there, because this was harder than I thought. My voice is already tired from all this reading for 2 hours, talking 2 hours. But that it's very interesting so far. Hmm. 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 Oh. Yeah. I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. um. No, it's not too bad. I was worried a bit about the gore and stuff. So far, there hasn't been anything too. There hasn't been anything really like shown lately, so or late at all so far. That's what I was worried about before this streaming this. But no, it's fine. It's a interesting thing for me to stream this. Okay, I'm rambling on. I think definitely that's a good idea. Once I'm done this, I'm gonna do a little drawing of Saya. Oh, you know what? I haven't checked on my Instagram. I did the post where it makes it kind of a reel for a picture, but I don't think I did it right. I don't know. And my other post, it hasn't gotten any views yet. That sucks, but
Why do you not have pants?
sometimes, well, that's kind of how it was in the start, but then after like a few days, it caught on and then got views, so hopefully that's what this one's like too. Yeah. I'm gonna end off this stream right now. And I'm hoping once I've done all the parts of this that maybe it can be turned into like a video of my entire playthrough, but I don't know. Maybe it's just better off as stream. But yeah. Okay. That is it for me. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go watch, like, I said last stream, I've started watching all the X-Men movies. And I'm gonna go watch another one. I'm on to, which one? First Class. I'm on a First Class. I remember watching this one a little bit. I like this movie. There was ones that I was reading that it said, like, you should skip. The two before this, number 3 and 4, X-Men 3, I can't remember the name, and X-Men Origins, Wolverine, but they were good enough. I don't think you should skip those. They were good. But yeah. Okay. That's it for me. End stream. Goodbye. Don't let the flesh monsters bite.